All right. Hey, folks. I'm going to do a bit more tonight. We did a 1.0.0 release of the Maxim-Engine yesterday, and then, of course, I found problems. So I spent a bit of time in the project in GitHub just to figure out a couple of things, a bit of direction moving forward. I talked about, having rule priorities or having nameable rules. And then I started thinking through some of the steps I might want to take to catch issues with the rule set. And so I thought I might start in on a generational working memory model. We'll see how that goes. But first, I got 2 bugs to fix. And so I think what I'm going to do tonight, because I got to get a little packing in because I'm heading home tomorrow, I'm going to be doing some clean up of the documentation and simplify the instantiation. The problem I found was I went through the documentation and then realized that I was telling folks that you could, that you could, well, now I can't even find where I was telling folks. Why don't I see it? Huh. I thought I was showing people an import statement. Perhaps I am not. Well, that's okay. That is not a big deal. One of the things that I am definitely doing incorrectly here, though, is the Maxim-Engine requires 2 parameters. We have to hand it those 2 proxy builder thingies. What did I call them? The write-through proxy builder and the read-only proxy builder. The engine requires those as parameters to the constructor. And I thought, well, I want it to be as easy for people to use as possible. Most people are just going to use the defaults. I can't expect anybody's going to noodle into my my weird little proxy builders. So I'm going to switch around a bit of the implementation so we can fit this original piece of documentation. And then I am going to put a sample import statement in here because I realized that while I am exporting the Maxim-Engine as the default export from the Maxim-Engine file, when I'm pushing this back out to the subscriber, I am putting it into a hash. So I want to make sure that I am documenting this interface, not this one, just so folks don't get confused. And I like to keep this one mostly because, I may export other things that folks might want to instantiate. If somebody wants to pull out and tweak those other proxy builders, I don't know. Maybe I stick them in here. I like this as a practice. Because this project may export more than one thing one day, and I don't want to have folks switch that later. So I realize I'm pointing around the screen and doing all these things, and you're not seeing it. Oh boy, it's been a long day, but that's okay, because we're gonna code. It's always happy when I get to code. So let's see. That was the first thing. Oh, and the second was test coverage. I noticed that in Code Climate, when I'm looking at my sorry, for some reason I'm not signed in, and I don't know why. Yeah, I'm going to do this. It's most convenient for me with open source projects to go in with my GitHub address. So, yes, we're at 97% test coverage. It's good. I wouldn't normally pay much attention to that, except when I was digging into it a bit, because you can OCD on test coverage, and sometimes it just isn't worth it. But in this particular case, how do I go and see? Do I look into it this way? I think that I might. Yeah, here we go. The right through proxy builder has only got 80% coverage, and I looked at it and I saw that oh, wait a minute. Let me look at the source. Thank you. No, not the source. I swear this is where, oh, sorry. I'm going to look at the source, and then I'm going to check the coverage checkbox. Thank you. So these areas, the define proxy handler. So I was not testing out creating properties in those tests. I expect that I was testing out deleting and setting, but not creating. So I need to add that extra bit of test coverage in. So what actually, maybe I'm going to do that first. So I'm just going to pop this over on my in progress, because I'm going to get both of these done. I'm not worried about which one I do first, but I'm right here already. And let me go digging for the right through proxy builder spec. You can see where we are overwriting things, deleting things, and now it should register a single property created. And let's wrap up. What, an empty object? Empty object sounds good. And let's set it to some message. Oh. Now I would expect, actually let me capture this out as a variable. And I would expect that the listener get referenced properties to deep equal the message property. Let's test that out. Okay, I think we're going to be good for that branch coverage. Trying to think of how I look at the reported locally. There's the coverage report. Oops. Let's take a look at it. Looking at the Maxim-Engine, looking at coverage, looking at the LCOV report, looking at index HTML. Yeah, I think this is interesting. Getting different stats here that I'm not seeing. Statement 78%. Did I not increase that? Branch is only 33%. I thought that I was covering this branch. Perhaps I am not. Oh, look at that. I was testing that it was creating a property. Look at that. I made an assumption. I didn't verify that I had already covered it. Why is my keyboard not responding? My whole computer isn't responding. Hello? Huh. That's interesting. It is responding here. But not here. I use Synergy to connect these two machines. Oh, there's an update. Huh. Yeah, thank you, no. Okay, so it is disconnected. Do I have my mouse back? I do not. Huh. I have lost keyboard and mouse on my host computer. Huh. Interesting. Well, let's just see if we can finish the session this way. All right. I'm going to assume that the computer is still broadcasting. Yeah, I still got health there. No idea why it won't take input anymore. All right. I will solve that mystery later. So I have mysteries abound. Let's see, my coverage. It's not touching the define proxy handler. Maybe this is just something that doesn't get used in JavaScript. I mean, MDN define property. You know what? I bet that's a different event. I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to bring back that test that I deleted. So I'm going to say defined here. Defined by set or defined through object. And I'm going to say object.define off of that proxy. What does that take? Or define property. The object, the property, string, and the data that goes. So the object, the property string, and the data we want in it. Define property, not define. Let's run that. Description must be an object. Hello. Oh, really? Define property requires an object. No, it requires a descriptor. Valuable and whether or not, or value and whether or not it's writable. I suppose I should read these things, huh? So the value is message, and let's say it's writable false. I wonder what's going to happen if somebody does that. Should probably have a test around that. Oops. Try running the tests again. They're passing. Checking my code coverage report. This is more what I want to see. So I've got the coverage through it. Still only covering 50% of the branches, huh? I'll have to explore some of that. You know, get into those permutations and combinations. Again, with the OCD on the test coverage, it's not a happy thing, but I feel like something's missing. Not sure how it's counting it either. That's worth experimenting with. I'm not sure now's the time. I want to make sure I don't get pulled too far down the rabbit hole and fix up that interface before I wrap the stream up tonight. I think I'm gonna leave my to-do comment in there for now. I think I'm gonna call you. Whoops. The mouse doesn't work. I should stop trying to use it. I'll call you done, and let's fix up the documentation and simplify the instantiation before that goes too far. So let's see. The core thing I want to add to the README is when I'm telling folks how to use it, you might just say, oops, use this require statement. Make sure folks are knowing that you have to deconstruct that. And this constructor, how do I want to tackle that? I feel like, oh no, I don't know what I feel like. You know, it's all a matter of responsibilities. You know how I was struggling with the test cases, and I had the Maxim-Engine spec, and it's like, this feels like an integration test. And I do want some level of integration testing, but maybe that should be all the way out to the top of the wrapper. And if I have a wrapper class, and this just becomes something inside it, then I can do isolation testing on the thing inside and move my integration testing up to the top so that I can test the module. I kind of like that. That feels good. So let's see what that looks like. I got Oh my gosh, now I have to name these things. Well, I could leave the Maxim-Engine being the name of the wrapper, and I could leave it as a zero argument constructor. And I can move this stuff into some other name. Let's see, what would that, I could just call it engine. And that doesn't seem, engine's a bit generic, but let's call it engine for now and see how we feel about it. If that were an engine, and that were an engine, ooh, I kind of like that I could, out here in the exporter, I wonder if this is good practice or not. You know, I could take the engine and I could say, let's see, the two things I need to operate it. I need, three things. I need a property, four things. I need two property use analyzers, one for reads, one for writes, and those two proxy builders. Like such. Then I can construct the engine proper. Ooh. If I'm still treating it like a class with a zero argument constructor, now I gotta delegate all those methods. I'm feeling not so good about it now. I don't want to import a fully created engine because I don't want to have to folks to, well, I just don't like it. I like to put out the clean class interface. Yeah, I'm going to back up here. Yes, please. And yes, please. Let's see. Hey, I should have committed those first. Oh, this is interesting. How do I set my... I expect I should be able to set a commit message to close that open item. I already moved it closed anyways, but no, it's still opened. Oh, no, it's not. It got automatically moved when I moved it to the done column. Sure. Okay. Adding a branch to test coverage for object define property. Documentation example for construction or for import. And Okay, back to my conundrum. What to do with Maxim-Engine? There's a bunch of things that I am not sure will work. My experience with Node is showing here a little bit. Because if I provided default values for these, I don't think I can do so with, this stuff defined up here. Oh, name override. What do we think of that name? Huh. Seemed to be valid. Now that would mean that if this were going to be the integration spec, then I would want to require the Maxim-Engine from the index. Oh, but I can't. No. Well, I suppose I could still inject the ones that I want. But I could also read the default ones that it got. Maybe that's what I would like to do. So if I create a default Maxim-Engine, I no longer need these two objects because I don't reference them. And the read and write analyzer now come from the engine's read-only proxy builder. Oops. Like property use analyzer, it must be. Yeah, property use analyzer. Oh boy, I'm not sure I like that. Now I don't need these. Do my tests run? Huh. Property use analyzer not defined? I don't need you guys. Or Sinon for the integration tests. Doesn't solve my problem though. does that feel like? Bad import. Does a thing. Does a thing. I don't want these dependencies to go in that direction. Well, I suppose it's not terrible. It's more than I'd like to have, though. Let's see, read only proxy builder. And I need a write through proxy builder. I think I'm good now. Let's try this again. Maxim-Engine is not a constructor. That will likely be the case because my spec, sorry for the emergency vehicles, alright, that looks a lot better. Now this leaves me without a test for the whole thing, and this feels weird to call it the Maxim-Engine spec. Oh my gosh. Cars should get out of the way. If cars got out of the way, I bet they wouldn't have to make so much noise. Of course, maybe they have to make so much noise for the cars to get out of the way. So this, I'm still calling the name thing. It's killing me here. I'm not happy with all the overload of this name. Maybe I'm back to this being the engine, and this being the engine, and the Maxim-Engine spec testing out through the top. And then this clearly indicates that I ought to have an engine spec that does isolation testing on the engine. Oops. So we're going to need something that describes the engine and uses the engine. Still feel funny about that. I feel like I'm just pushing the dust around, not actually cleaning it up. You ever feel that way? What do you think? Leave this constructor the way it is? I mean, I definitely want to force these required. I could do something different though. No, it's all because of that object. I want to pass a class out of the module. And these are wasteful being up here. I don't know. Let's see how horrible it looks. And then go from there. Yeah, I'm not sure I even want to test that. I'm not in a happy TDD place with this because the tests I write are going to pass. Because I've written it all and I've tested it up at one level higher. And now I'm pushing myself into this level. The core functionality that we were testing at the integration level was all of these things. This stuff feels like things that I shouldn't have to test at the integration level. They feel like very specialized things. Let's do this stuff. So I have to give it a, let's see, before each. Let's see if we can pick this logic apart. Before each test, we want to set the engine as a new Maxim-Engine, right? Oops, I guess just engine. No, it doesn't have a zero argument constructor. Oops, that's going to be a dot source engine. And so I'm going to construct the engine, but I have to give it two things. I'm just going to make them spies. So let's see, Synon. It's my favorite. And I'll give it the two spies. So let's make them available in properties, and I called those read-only proxy builder, write-through proxy builder, read-only proxy builder, and write-through proxy builder. And they're going to become spies. Oops, get my brackets right. And the read-through happens, or the read-only happens first. Write through happens second, right? Oops. Yes, read only is first, write through is second. So I'm going to override those going into the new engine class, put my spies in play. This stuff is not subject to the spies. Like, I am just at this point trying to register rules. I'm very happy to do that in isolation. But this other stuff, well, actually, this is also a thing that doesn't trigger any of those spies. I'm pretty sure. Let's see how bad a mess I've made. Oh, look at that, it worked. Code works, don't know why. Yeah, I think it's okay. So what else do I have? I have processing a simple rule. Now this is obviously gonna start to trigger on some of those properties because I have a real condition and a real consequence here. So if I pop this in, I have an initial value, a transformed value. I'm registering a rule with a condition that checks to see if the data is the initial value, and if it was, I'm going to set it to the transformed value. And when I ask it to do something like that, I'm going to expect not any output, because I am not going to get output that's meaningful. I wonder what output I'll get. That's another thing. I think I'm going to get something pretty meaningless. I should trace that through. But really what I want to check is that the read-only proxy builder, oh, hang on, I have to expect this. And let's see, that has a method. That's the spec. Build proxy handlers. I don't know that that's the one that's called. Certainly wrap gets called. I feel like I want to characterize this. I want to say, oops. What calls did we get? What does Sinon do for me there? I can't spy the whole thing. I gotta spy the methods on it. I gotta spy the methods on it. So when I'm building this thing up, that proxy builder I stash them away. When it checks the condition, calls wrap, and calls get referenced properties. So wrap and get referenced properties. That kind of makes sense. So I want to say wrap. Oops. I'm going to stick a spy on wrap. And I'm going to stick a spy on get referenced properties. So now I've got a test double for the read-only proxy builder. It does those two things. Same two methods on the write through. All right. So now I have a test double for you, and now I would expect when we evaluate the conditions that wrap is that a method call or is that a property? Could be either. Which is it? What? Call count is a real thing. Why aren't you in the documentation? I know it's a real thing. Are you true? Let's check that. Ooh, read-only proxy. Reset. I ain't spying on reset. We're going to reset them at the beginning, too. Can't read property data of undefined. Engine spec 3. Makes no sense. So that's going to be on engine. Ain't nothing there. Right there. The working memory getting handed in is not going to be a valid thing because wrap doesn't return anything. Feel like I want to break this down more, huh? Well, I want to make sure that the registrations get called. So what if I really did just pretend there's a data property inside that? So if I said that wrap wasn't just a spy, can I make a spy that returns a fixed value? I suppose it's not a spy anymore, is it? It's a stub. Well, in which case, don't really care to measure it that way, do I? I could just say that our stub returns some dummy data, and our wrap function returns Now data has a reference. Or does it? Let's blow these things out a little. Can you give this a better name? Oops. Gonna have to check through all of this. So data's gonna go in. We're gonna filter the rules. We have one single rule for the rules that check the condition. Now the check condition takes the working memory that we gave it, the rule, resets the proxy builder, calls the condition with the wrapped working memory, and this is going to return that dummy, the test dummy. So that should return this. I'm going to push that onto the condition references, and that's when I call get reference to properties, which again is a spy. Return the result. These are the only two places I'm calling .data. I thought I chased through the working memory too. It's working memory. All right, let's try a thing. So the condition, oops, didn't mean to do that. The condition is doing this thing. Oh my gosh. Whoa, I think I messed that structure up pretty good. Let's just fix that up, shall we? Are you good now? No? That's much happier. I put the brace in the wrong spot. Oh boy, I can code, sure. Let's see. Let's dump out working memory there. Somehow. How I messed that up again? Did I? Don't see how. Missing something fundamental there. So in our consequence, we got this working memory. Do I have a syntax error? I sure do. We have a big kaboom. Oh, of course. Somehow I lost the opening brace. There. Somehow. Yeah, I probably deleted it. Okay. Getting that error, but I should see some console log output. Condition is undefined. And that's the only thing it's calling. So I'm seeing my condition log with the undefined working memory. I thought I had traced it through such that when it's being asked to work with working memory, it grabs the rules, it filters the rules by check condition with the natural copy of working memory that it got. Check condition. So it's calling the proxy builder to wrap it, handing the output of wrap into the condition. No, hang on. The output of wrap is what I was doubling. The output of wrap should, not a lambda. An actual data structure, please. Well, that was silly of me. All right, so now read-only proxy builder wrap is not a function. That is oh, yeah, no, it has to be a function. Because it's going to call wrap with the working memory, and it's going to need back the actual working memory. Why don't I do this? Why don't I shortcut that? Because I don't care to wrap. Do I care to wrap? I don't care to wrap. I'm not measuring that. I'm just measuring here because engine is the subject under test. I'm measuring that the proxy builder is consulted to wrap and it's consulted for its referenced properties. Those are the only things I'm testing here. So it takes a working memory and returns a working memory. What if we did that? We just echo it straight back as a special case for test. That may get me into trouble later. Expected undefined to equal 1. and wrap no longer has a thing. So so wrap is handing back that structure for rule condition. I do want to know that wrap was called. I could use stubs. What if I used stubs more fully here? Stop trying to shortchange this. So the stub has a returns method, it seems. Yeah, I feel more like I want to stub out this thing. So, let's see. Reset, I'm just going to spy on it. Wrap, I'm going to stub. And let's go back to my original. I think it's returns, right? Yeah. Data, dummy. So we're going to stub that out. Oh, strub? Pickles, please. Okay. A spy on reference property. I don't know. Let's get past this first. I'm still just dealing with conditions too, but both of them are going to return a stub with data dummy. And we're going to verify that the stub was called. Okay. So the stub was definitely called. Now, I expect also that the read-only proxy builder double reset was called once. And that reset was called before wrap. Should I check that? Yeah. Reset was called, wrap was called, and that. reset was called before. Is that what it was? Yeah. Read only proxy builder double wrap. I expect that to be true. I guess I should check get referenced properties as well. This is a lot of checks. I'm very much failing the single assert here. But I feel like I want to pick it apart after. I'm going to get this figured out first. Get referenced properties. That should be referenced once as well. All right, so I'm not testing here that it should process a simple rule. What I'm really checking here is that it reset I'm going to test a lot of stuff here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set up my own describe block just so that I can nest that before each a bunch of times. So we're going to describe the collaboration with the read-only proxy builder. Let's check that out. In order to check that out, I got to do some setup. And then after I'm setting it up, I don't even reference the output, don't even care about the output. Let's stuff you inside. So, it should reset the referenced properties. Wrong quotes. There we are. So it should reset the reference properties. So I'm going to execute it. Well, I mean, I could just execute it here because they're all going to execute it. And I would expect that the reset call count was 1. It should wrap working memory. Well, oops. Wow. Move where I want you. Okay, it should wrap working memory. After reset. And it should provide referenced properties. And that, whoa, same issue here. All right, break those asserts apart. And I think that makes me happy. I ought to check collaboration with the write through proxy builder. I do have a consequence that sets something. I'm going to get rid of this logging and move these back to regular arrow functions. And I mean, I don't use that initial or transformed value at all. So I don't even care to give it anything here. I think that's all fine. All right, paring this down pretty good. So let's test through. These things just aren't referenced. Like, that's a lot of setup that has nothing to do with these simple tests. I don't like it around there. I mean, I don't want people to think that's normal, though. I don't know. I'll leave it there for now. Dither over these things for hours. All right, and honestly, this before each is the same between these two describes. So let's test collaboration as a group of things. Move these inside it. And move the before each outside it. That's a little cleaner. Let's get rid of the duplicate language. The duplicate misspelled language. Okay. And put in my semicolon. Let's see. Now, well, what does it do when it runs the action? Wow, is it even capable of running the action? It's returning the result of the condition on that wrapped structure. The wrapped structure is data dummy. I am referencing data. It will return a true, and thus it will fire the consequence. So the consequence resets the write through proxy builder. Now hang on, why does it do that after it does these things? Let's make this a little more symmetrical here. Can I just move that up? Pretty sure that I can. All right, so reset happens first in both situations. Thank you. And I'm going to call wrap. Get that. I'm going to call a consequence on it. Same drill. It's really the same drill. I messed these up somewhere. Provide reference properties has nothing to do with wrap. Calls wrap. And got referenced properties. Happens inside there. I need a pair. All right, these should all be fine. Or they're not. Expected zeros to be ones. Calls on the write through proxy builder. Oh. Well, that should have still been true, but that sure won't be. Still got all zeros. Got a spy, got a stub, got a spy. So engine execute. See what we got there. An unhappy thing. Didn't even try it. Perhaps that's not returning a true. Oh, wait a minute. It won't return a true. Because it's initial, not dummy. So the working memory is empty in all of those cases. With run consequence. The run consequence happens with the return value of wrap. No, hang on. No, with the initial copy of working memory. The initial copy of working memory should sure be... Oh, yeah, no. It's empty. Let's do this. Let's say we have... Now this is getting really specific for down below. Say we have dummy data. This is our dummy data. And we call it, wow, this is a horrible structure. I'll have to fix this afterwards with dummy data. Now this should be a little happier. Okay. Now, it's got the data I'm expecting it to have. And it's telling me that it's not resetting the referenced properties. So I see run consequence, working memory. Just like such, should reset referenced properties. Right through proxy builder, reset. Thank you very much. Makes no sense. It's doing the thing. Why is it doing it twice? Making a copy of the working memory, which is just fine, and asking the right through proxy builders to wrap it. It's running these statements. I know it is. Right through proxy builder is being asked to reset. Right through proxy builder double should be asked to reset. It's all here. It's getting recorded in the engine. It's got a write through proxy builder. Going into the write through proxy builder. Being referenced as the write through proxy builder. Makes me wish I'd kept this isolated and TDD'd it forward. Reverse engineering tests is always horrible. Start doubting the way you did things. The mental model you built up doesn't seem to match what happens when the code runs. That's a great one. I like that one. Well, they're not zeros anymore, they're twos. Read the screen. Oh. And I'm seeing the twos. It's two of these, and two of these, and two of these. It was affected. My rule set runs it twice. My rule set runs it twice because I referenced the property and the condition, and my second loop kicked in. That's another test path. Okay. That's another test path. Because these are legit twos. It fires the rules twice because the consequence modified the condition upon which it was based. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. See, now I've got a bit of a characterization test, and the reader isn't going to know why these are twos. I'm going to tell them here. Knock these out. I feel like I want to test more situations, but I'm also running out of steam tonight. I have an early day tomorrow, and I want to do a bit of packing tonight. So I'm gonna start wrapping up. What did I accomplish? Well, I'm exporting the simple engine as Maxim-Engine. The engine has some default property analyzers that can be overridden. Not keen on that pattern, but it's functional. Can make it better later. Maybe. Let's find a better pattern. Maybe there isn't a better pattern. Always open to community suggestions. Okay, let's see. I have the integration test around Maxim-Engine. I have the isolated text test around the engine. I think I'm doing pretty good. One day when I rewrite the engine, I'll TDD that forward. Treat these as characterization. Actually, I probably won't. I had to keep the integration tests. Well, I got a bit of safety in it anyways. I was going to push this straight into master. It's going to be a lazy night like that. Alright. Tester's still passing, yeah. Tester's still passing. I did the push. That should have checked off Travis. Hopefully. Oh, there it goes. A lot of open source projects building tonight. I fully expect that should be okay. If all this is happy up on Travis, I'll got the new version number. New patch edition, or patch version, or minor version. Let's call it a patch version. There's no changes really. I just fixed my dumb mistake and noodled with tests. There we go. We're looking good there. So let's bump you up. Push up the tags. Let that build our new release. out our test coverage. Oh, we kicked up to 99%. Is that? Oh yeah, no, we totally did it earlier. Maintain abilities of B. Duplication, code smells. Look at all these problems. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really care about that. Don't really care about that either. And I also don't care about that. Don't care about that. So this is where I like different rules in the test suite than I do in the production code. I'll tolerate a bit more similar looking code in the test suite for clarity. I want it to be obvious when people read the tests what things are doing. And sometimes that you just want to repeat yourself. So I'm going to leave it there. I wonder if I can tweak it. I wonder if Code Climate lets me do that. That'd be something worth exploring. Look at that sometime. Alright, how are we doing here? We're all good. Let's go back to NPM 1.0.1. We got some stuff going. That was exciting when I had weekly downloads. I'm sure they're just mirrors. I don't know if we have any humans out there. One thing that I thought was fun on this was testing it with RunKit. That's how I discovered my my bad try. Now look at this. RunKit defaults that this is happening here. I don't like that. That's not what I want you to see. And that's a class coming out of that, not a function. And I don't like vars here. I like consts. All kinds of fail. If I run you, that should be. Did that run? I think it did. And now if I say, let's pull it out of my documentation. I like how they do this here. There's my const and my let. And move down a little further. There's my rule definition. Oops.
Let rule equals condition WM equals type off WM message.
What did I just do? I did not realize that was even a keyboard shortcut. Oh yeah, there it is. Read aloud. Thank you, Ed, but no thank you. And see, this works better when I have an actual mouse. I'm going to register the rule, and then I'm going to get the results and dump into a console. It's like that my examples that I'm telling people are actually functional. Crazy that way. I got hello world as output. I think I'm pretty good here. Alright. I'm gonna call this a night. I'm all pushed up. Not fully happy with it. I feel like I want to do a bit more noodling in here, but I'm also not sure the directions I want to take. I want to think about it a little more. So before I go pushing bits around all over the place, I'm gonna thanks for stopping by tonight. And I'm going to be at home, so I'm not sure when I'll be streaming over the next couple weeks. I'm going to try, but this also requires me to clean up my home studio, and it's a bit messy right now. So I'm hoping I've got the energy for all that. I expect I will. I just don't know what day it'll be. So when I do, I'm going to come back and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to work in on